Now, today is a monumentally bad day for anyone in VR, really, because of what this could cause for the ecosystem. There is some silver lining, which I'm going to get to in a minute, but Meta have just shut down 4 of their biggest studios. And one of them, I think, definitely had a title in development, and I'm going to tell you why in a minute. And Meta have done this before. We've Ready at Dawn. We all know that. Developers of Lone Echo 2, Echo Arena, to shut down Armature Studio, who gave us the best Resident Evil 4 port of the original, before everyone jumps on me about Resident Evil 4 remake on PSVR 2, by the way. As a fan of the original Resident Evil 4, I thought Armature Studio absolutely killed it. And if you want to look into it, Armature Studios have done a lot of ports and stuff in gaming well before Resident Evil 4 remake. But when I did an interview with Ryan Payton before the launch of Batman at Camouflage, which is a studio that's safe at the moment, I say at the moment because you just don't know anymore, he basically hinted to me that Armature had a VR game in development, and he was really excited about it. You know, he couldn't wait for everyone to find out about it. And I don't know whether he slipped up there in the interview, but I never got any kickback from leaving that in the interview. You know, he didn't seem to want to hide anything. And that's the same as Ready at Dawn. You know, before they got shut down, they were working on a VR game as well, who are now, a lot of the developers from Ready at Dawn are now another Axiom, who made Gamertag and Orion Drift. So other studios they've shut down is Supernatural. I don't know if you guys really do VR fitness. There's only like 1 or 2 apps I've been discovering this year, actually. But Supernatural isn't one of them because the membership isn't available in my territory, and I think there was no like free trials or anything. You had to do a membership, but it was a high quality game from what I played of it. So, but I don't know what they had in the making. One of the biggest ones, or the biggest shockers, well, 2 of the big, well, this is all shocking. Yeah, there's no way to put it any other way, actually. Sansa Games, like developers of Asgard's Wrath and Asgard's Wrath 2, 2 of the best games ever made, really, in VR. You know, I know a lot of people didn't complete Asgard's Wrath 2 because, to be honest, it was just such a massive game. But still, in terms of quality VR mechanics, this is a top-notch studio, and I'm sorry to everyone involved. I'm sorry to all the developers this has happened to, and I'm really angry that the Meta have done this. And then we've got Twisted Pixel. Now, these guys obviously made some great games, and they've just released Marvel's Deadpool VR. I mean, I know it's not doing very well. If you go on the store, I think it's got 1,100 reviews so far in the store. Developers tend to look at sales of other games, and they times that by 7 to give you a rough idea of how many people, and a very rough idea of how many people are buying that game and playing it. And I'm just so disappointed, you know, after Andrew Bosworth's tweet a little while ago saying they were still heavily investing in VR. And then they've just literally swiped away 3. And I don't mean this to Supernatural. I'm sorry, guys. I don't really know what you do that much. I was never really a follower of your work. If you watch this video, I doubt you will. But the other 3, I'm a bit like, wow, this is just crazy. It's pretty unbelievable to me. Sansa, Twisted Pixel, and Armature, like 3 studios I thought you'd never see the back of, you know. And I really hope somehow if this is a sinking ship. You know, if Meta is a sinking ship for VR at the moment, and because we don't know what's going to happen, it's been crazy, hasn't it? Like, they're going into AI wearables, they're doing all these different things. We're hearing them laying off people working directly on Horizon and Reality Labs, and now these studios shutting down. It just sends a terrible message. You know, maybe it is the slow decline of VR. As far as I know, PSVR is picking up. But the studios they have kept is Beat Games, the makers of Beat Saber, Big Box, the guys who have made Population 1. I don't even know if anyone plays Population 1 anymore. It's probably got a very hardcore user base now. It was a very cool game, but I don't know why I don't play it anymore. For what it was at the time, it was really cool. And I'm very surprised they haven't done anything new since. But they're being kept on. And then you got Camouflage, thank goodness. They have kind of already hinted that they're making a brand new Batman game, possibly going to come with MetaQuest 4. There's one other developer called Glasswords. I haven't got a clue what they do. But either way, it's a very sad day. If you go back to all the previous videos in years that me and other content creators have made about, like, is Meta like, well, is VR dying? You know, I don't think I've ever wrote those words, but is VR not doing well anymore? You know, are people not interested in it? Meta arguably have released the most amount of exclusives ever in VR. Easy, actually, if you think about it. But with hardware not being their focus now and being pushed 2027, even 2028, when I've done my chat with Bradley for our brand new podcast called Gamertag and Bradley, if you want to check it out, we spoke about this, you know, and what's happening with Meta, but we never knew this was happening. And I think it just changes everything. I'm really worried, you know, I am. The only silver lining is Steam Frame in this whole scenario, because, and I don't know if they planned this, but dude, what an epic time for them to actually enter the space. Again, on the podcast, we spoke about a potential release date, end of February, beginning of March. And it's almost like Meta are like handing everything over slowly. You know, with Steam Frame, we spoke about how you can play some of your PSVR games directly via the standalone device. You've got eye tracking. You've got basically the whole library of Quest games, because they're run on APKs, could be ported to Steam Frame. And I can only hope that Steam Frame is a success now. You know, I'm so gutted that this is happening. It's weird times. You know, I was already worried about 2026. You know, we've got some great titles coming. I made a video about them, and there's plenty to look forward to, but you still need those headliners. You still need those exclusives. You still need potential developers or IPs from those developers that carry weight outside of VR, because you need it to grow. It's still growing. And like the other day, there was a tweet from a guy who said, does anyone else think that VR has fell off? And I was kind of like, dude, it hasn't been successful yet. You know, you could say Quest 2 was the peak of selling 20 million headsets, but it was so cheap and it was during lockdown. It wasn't realistic. You know, now people have gone back to work. You've got to really pull people in with the hardware. And at the moment, hardware is a bit bulky. It's a bit uncomfortable sometimes. People got to spend extra money. It's still not necessarily the easiest thing to show to people and for them to access. So yeah, that I'm absolutely gutted. You know, I think Meta are making a big mistake. They just seem to be chasing trends. They just seem to chase trends. You know, Horizon isn't necessarily working, which was one of their trends. And now, because that's not doing very well, they're going to pull all the funding from that, which I'm kind of glad of. I'm absolutely gutted. The name change, Meta from Oculus, Horizon Worlds, all that stuff I was never really interested in. And I didn't really agree with. You know, Horizon was at the beginning quite a cool idea, but he just went all in. He's like, right, we're even renaming the company Meta. Like, that's a big deal from Facebook. And now all these people are losing their jobs. It sucks. It really sucks. And I think 2026 is going to be the year of VR mods and indie VR devs really being the ones to hold it up, and Steam Frame. That's my kind of wish, you know. I'm going to be doing all I can to support Steam Frame, especially now. It is the only headset I think at the moment on the horizon that will be the one headset to sell enough units to actually keep developers making money. Sure, we've got some fantastic PSVR headsets, Big Screen Beyond. Pimax showed the amazing Dream Air, I think it's called. That looks brilliant. But at the end of the day, you're going to need like a mid-tier device. One that doesn't cost like thousands, you know, one that costs nearly 1,000, but has a whole library. It's got a library ready. It's going to have loads of games put on it. It can do wireless VR. It can play PSVR games, standalone games. And I just can't believe that Meta are like doing this. I just can't believe they're just dropping the ball like this. It's crazy. But yeah, just wanted to have a rant really. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll see you on the next one.